A very good evening to all. On behalf of Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, I welcome you all to the 26th Foundation Day celebration. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome our chief guest of the day, Shri Gurcharan Das, our beloved chairman, Shri Anil Shastri, Mrs. Manju Shastri, Director, Professor Praveen Gupta, Chief Administrative Officer, Colonel Sood, Dr. G.L. Sharma, members of the faculty, staff, distinguished alumni, students, to the 26th Foundation Day celebrations. Established by the Lal Bahadur Shastri Educational Society in 1995, LBSIM has emerged as a top B school in the country. LBSIM was started with a mission of imparting quality and value-based management and technology education relevant to corporate and societal needs through continuous learning and leadership through excellence in technology and management. It takes pride in being one of the foremost institutions in providing value-based management education, thus developing professionals with humane and pragmatic approach on the march of corporate excellence. This year, Foundation Day is an opportunity to acknowledge some of the tough times we have faced and the incredible ways we have bonded together as a community. Taking the program forward, let us remember our second Prime Minister, Bharat Ratna, late Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri Ji, through a short film on the life and times of this great son of India.
सत्ताईस मई 1964 पंडित जवाहरलाल नेहरू का निधन हो गया। देश गहरे विषाद में डूब गया। सभी के मन में एक ही सवाल था, कौन बनेंगे नए प्रधानमंत्री, कौन करेंगे इस महान सभ्यता का नेतृत्व।
आफ्टर नेहरू नेहरू के बाद कौन होगा, तो ये उनको इस बात का एहसास था। जब मुझसे पूछा गया कि इस कमी को दूर कैसे करेंगे, तो उन्होंने कहा कि पंडित जी ने अपने व्यक्तित्व की वजह से, टावरिंग पर्सनैलिटी की वजह से, उन्होंने इस पद को शक्ति प्रदान की और मैं प्रयास करूंगा इस पद से शक्ति प्राप्त करने की, जिससे कि मैं देश की सेवा कर सकूं।
2 अक्टूबर 1904 के दिन काशी के पास मुगल सराय में जन्मे लाल बहादुर का पूरा व्यक्तित्व ही गांधीवाद का जीता जागता स्वरूप था।
उनकी सादगी, पहली बात तो धोती पहनते थे। ये आम आदमी को उससे बड़ा भरोसा हो जाता था कि हमारे जैसे है।
पिता की छत्र छाया बचपन में ही छिन गई थी। विधवा मां के साथ ननिहाल चले गए, वहीं पर परवरिश हुई। 1921 में जब स्वतंत्रता आंदोलन में कूद पड़े तो निष्ठा और दृढ़ता के प्रमाण मिलते चले गए। 17 वर्ष की आयु से स्वाधीनता तक लगभग 9 साल जेल में काटे। रहीमन हीरा कब कहे लाख टका मेरो मोल। पार्टी कार्य में उनकी निष्ठा से प्रभावित होकर नेहरू ने लाल बहादुर शास्त्री को रेल मंत्री नियुक्त किया, परंतु 1953 में घटी एक रेल दुर्घटना की नैतिक जिम्मेदारी लेते हुए शास्त्री जी ने मंत्रालय से इस्तीफा दे दिया।
उन्होंने वो इस्तीफा देकर राजनीति में नए मूल्यों की स्थापना की।
नेहरू जी के मंत्रिमंडल में कई विशिष्ट पदों पर अपनी छाप छोड़ते हुए वे गृह मंत्री नियुक्त हुए। 9 जून 1964 पंडित नेहरू के निधन के बाद स्वयं पंडित नेहरू के चहेते लाल बहादुर शास्त्री ने भारत के दूसरे प्रधानमंत्री का पदभार संभाला। कुल 4 शब्दों में उस मृदुभाषी व्यक्ति ने देश को एक नारा दिया, जय जवान जय किसान।
उन्होंने उस समय
इस बात का एहसास कर लिया था। देश के अंदर हमें अपने जो भंडार हैं अनाज के उन्हें पूरा भर देना है और एक जो भारत के गौरव और गरिमा को देश विश्व में खड़ा कर देना है, वो अगर संभव है तो जवानों और किसानों की जय जयकार करने से ही है।
Lal Bahadur Shastri, Prime Minister of India, speaking on Independence Day in 1965.
हम हथियारों का जवाब हथियारों से दें।
5 सितंबर 1965 पाकिस्तान ने भारत के खिलाफ खुली जंग का ऐलान कर दिया। जवाब में भारतीय सेना पंजाब से सीमा पार कर गई। जब तक संयुक्त राष्ट्र की पहल पर युद्ध विराम हुआ, तब तक भारत की सेनाएं पाकिस्तानी सेना पर हावी हो चुकी थी।
वो किसी के दबाव में आने वाले व्यक्ति नहीं थे। जब ऐसी घटना होती है तो बहुत ज्यादा अंतर्राष्ट्रीय दबाव होते हैं। अगर आप दब गए तो झुक जाएंगे, वो नहीं दबे। लेकिन फिर शायद दोनों देशों की भलाई सोचकर वो युद्ध विराम पर राजी हो गए।
10 जनवरी 1966 ताशकंद। जिन आदर्शों के नैतिक बल का मजा वो पाकिस्तान को चखा चुके थे, आज उन्हीं आदर्शों की उदारता से उन्होंने समझौते के कागजात पर दस्तखत कर दिए। लेकिन अभी समझौते के दस्तावेज पर स्याही सूखी भी न थी कि उसी रात शास्त्री जी को दिल का दौरा पड़ा और उनकी मृत्यु हो गई। गांधी जी ने कहा था कि शत्रु का दिल जीतना ही वास्तविक जीत है। सुदूर ताशकंद में जब स्वर्गीय लाल बहादुर शास्त्री को कोसिजिन के साथ साथ खुद जनरल अयूब खान ने कंधा दिया, तो लगा जैसे शास्त्री जी बापू के फलसफे को चरितार्थ कर दुनिया से रुखसत हो गए थे। लाल बहादुर शास्त्री केवल 18 महीनों तक भारत के प्रधानमंत्री रहे, लेकिन अपने प्रधानमंत्रित्व के छोटे से कार्यकाल में शास्त्री जी ने भारत के हर नागरिक के कानों में आत्मसम्मान और आत्मबल का मंत्र फूंक दिया था। अपने व्यक्तित्व से उन्होंने निष्काम कर्म और पुरुषार्थ की वो मिसाल कायम की कि उनकी गिनती भारतीय इतिहास के सर्वोच्च महापुरुषों में होती है।
I request our beloved chairman, Shri Anil Shastri, Mrs. Manju Shastri, Director Professor Praveen Gupta, Chief Administrative Officer Colonel Sood, Dr. G.L. Sharma to kindly come up on the stage and pay floral tributes at the portrait of Shastri ji. May I now request Professor Praveen Gupta, Director LBSIM, to kindly deliver the welcome address.
Respected Chairman, Board of Governors, Shri Anil Shastri ji, Chief Guest of today's program, Shri Gurcharan Das ji, Advisor Corporate Interface, Dr. G.L. Sharma, Chief Administrative Officer, Colonel Ajay Sood, respected Mrs. Manju Shastri ji, dear faculty colleagues, colleagues from administration, dignitaries both from India and abroad joining us virtually, dear alumni, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a great pleasure to celebrate the 26th Foundation Day of the great institution Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, Delhi. As we celebrate the Institute's Silver Jubilee, these 25 years have been a long journey of hard work, perseverance, focused approach, and innovative practices. The Institute was established to perpetuate the memory, principles, and values of Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri ji. The extensive alumni base of 4,000 plus is our flag bearer and the brand ambassador. I'm sure the ethics and values imparted to them have proved in great stead in their corporate and personal life. The Institute started functioning from our erstwhile campus at R.K. Puram in New Delhi. It has grown from a single batch of 60 students of PGDM to multi-programs with diversity like financial management, research and business analytics, information technology, to name a few. We have stepped into new domains of fellowship programs, and very soon we will be entering into domains like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and e-business. It is indeed my privilege to welcome Shri Gurcharan Das ji, whom we hold in very high esteem. His scholarly contribution in terms of articles and books has left indelible mark on India and Indians' thought processes. An author, a playwright, novelist, commentator, thinker, Mr. Das has held top positions in FMCG giant Procter & Gamble. I used to be very proud of him, to read about him and learn about him in late 80s and early 90s, when there were only a handful of Indians at the top affairs of MNCs. Somewhere in 1994, when he chose to be an author full-time and leave the corporate world, I started following him even more. I used to read his articles with great interest and also read his book, India Unbound. It is indeed a great honor for all of us to have him amongst us. Once again, I welcome Shri Gurcharan Das ji. All of us are here. All of us are eager to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Shri Gurcharan Das is an author and thought leader. He was CEO, Procter & Gamble India, and later Managing Director, Procter & Gamble Worldwide. He graduated with honors from Harvard University and later attended Harvard Business School, where he is featured in 3 case studies. He is on number of boards and a regular speaker to the management of world's largest corporations. After a 30-year career in business, he took early retirement to become a full-time writer. He is best known for a much acclaimed trilogy on the classical Indian goals of life. India Unbound was the first on Artha, or material well-being, which offered a personal account of India's recent social and economic rise. The second, the difficulty of being good on dharma, moral well-being, illuminates our day-to-day moral dilemmas through a meditation on the epic Mahabharata. Karma, the riddle of desires, on the third goal teaches how to cherish desire in order to live a rich and flourishing life. He writes a regular column in the Times of India and 5 Indian languages newspapers and periodically contributes to the Financial Times, Wall Street Journals, Foreign Affairs and New York Times. His other books includes India Grows at Night, a liberal case for strong state, which was on the Financial Times Best Books for 2013. A Fine Family, a book of essays, The Elephant Paradigm, and an anthology, 3 plays. He has edited for Penguin a 15-volume history series, The Story of Indian Business, and he lives in Delhi. I would now request Shri Gurcharan Das ji to please take over and deliver a lecture on 26th Foundation Day of LBSIM on the topic, Don't Just Make a Living and Make a Life. Sir, please.
A much stronger economy, certainly. He had grown tall in people's eyes with his victories in the war, and these, I believe, would have translated in a victory in the 4th general election in 1967. With a solid majority, he would have been able to liberalize the economy, doing the reforms that he had spoken about repeatedly, promised them in his speeches in 1965. And he would have become our first reformer. India would have been spared his successor, Indira Gandhi, and her sharp turn to the left, and her follies that made her long rule the darkest in our economic history. In hindsight, the nation might have also been saved from dynastic rule. Alas, these are the tempting what-ifs of history. But just remember him by one thing, which is that he taught us that democracy is best run by modest men. And I just saw this video right now, and it confirmed the same message to me. So today I'm going to speak about the difference between making a living and making a life. Most of us are so caught up in the rat race, grubbing for marks in school, climbing ladders at work, focused on the next promotion. We forget this difference that we have to also make a life while we are making a living. Well, my life was no different. My earliest memory is of running home from kindergarten. I was just 4 years old, waving a report card, and my mother asked, "Did you come first?" That was the wrong question. She was thinking of success. She was thinking of making a living instead of making a life. Fortunately, I had a father who kept reminding me about making a life. I was born in a middle-class family in Punjab. The family budget was always tight. And when I got a scholarship to go to Harvard University as an undergraduate, my mother wanted me to study something useful, to become an engineer like my father. But when I arrived at Harvard, they told me that I'd come to the wrong college. There was a better college down the river, they said, called MIT. Well, I must tell you that I went against my mother's wishes. Instead of going to another college, I got ensnared at Harvard in the romance of a liberal education and found myself beginning to learn to make a life. And when I graduated in philosophy, my mother said, this is a useless subject. Well, I got a scholarship to go to Oxford to do a PhD in philosophy. But one evening, when I was back home, getting ready to go to Oxford, that in the summertime, I suddenly got cold feet. I asked myself, did I want to spend the rest of my life at that stratosphere of abstract thought? No, I answered. I wanted a life of action rather than a life of thought. So while figuring out what it meant to have a life of action, I got a summer job selling Vicks Vapor Rub in the dusty bazaars of India. And it was mostly to calm my mother's middle-class insecurities because she was worried about having a useless, unemployed son at home. But I enjoyed the rough and tumble of the bazaar and began to like the business life. And so I decided to stay on, and I joined the company with a pakka job and then went on to become the CEO of the company, which became Procter & Gamble India. And then after 10 years of being head of the Indian company, I was asked to head global strategy at the world headquarters of Procter & Gamble in America. One morning in my late 40s, I was peering over the Nielsen market shares, which had come in overnight from of our major brands of Procter & Gamble, all good brands, mind you, Oil of Olay, Vicks, Vapor Rub, Pampers, Tide, you know them all, Gillette, Blades, and so on. But I asked myself, is this what life is all about? And I grew depressed. My wife tried to comfort me. She said, oh, it's just a midlife crisis. It'll go away. But it didn't go away. It was also a dharma sankat for me about should I stick to my occupational dharma, swadharma, aim to rise further to be the CEO of the global company? And certainly the company had done well by me, and I felt a certain sense of loyalty to it. There was also my duty to my family. The children were still fairly young. And so, should I do that, or should I follow the call of my conscience, my Sanatana Dharma, my Sadharan Dharma, which was to return to the contemplative side of mine, which was to become, I believe, a writer. So I believe I had two sides to me. One I had inherited from my mother, who wanted me to achieve, to be a success in the world. And the other I inherited from my father, who was a humble man of serene inner character, who wanted me to make a life, to find a purpose in my life. So dharma, the word also means balance, harmonizing contradictory impulses within a person. And these were the contradictory impulses inside me. And I don't think I'm unique in this respect. I think all of us have different sides to our nature. It is only society that tries to slot us and fit us into compartments. Anyway, I quit my job at 50. My wife was a good sport, and we came back to live in India. Luckily, I had a home to come back to, but what I haven't told you is the most important thing, and that is that I had from my 20s, since I was in my 20s, early 20s, I had always been a weekend writer. I had always taken my hobby seriously and even had a fair amount of success in being a weekend writer. I wrote plays which got produced, one of them off Broadway in New York, another one on BBC, then in Bombay, Delhi, and they're still being produced. I wrote a novel in my 30s called A Fine Family. Shyam Benegal bought the rights to make a film, which he never did. Anyway, I was developing a skill over the weekend. And this story that I've told you is the story of one person who wrestled with making a life, bringing balance and harmony and happiness to it. Now, my one-line definition of happiness is to love the work you do. And I did enjoy my weekday job, but I also had a weekend job, which I loved. And the second part of happiness is to love the person you live with. And I have discovered that there is another route after that to happiness, which is to fulfill the capabilities within us. And this is the classical Indian notion, which is of the Purusharthas. And so Artha, Dharma, and as when I was introduced, you know, I've written books on each one. Dharma and Kama. Kama is the one which is the latest one, and it is called the riddle of desire. Not karma, Kam, K-A-M-A, as in Kama Sutra. And anyway, finally, there's the fourth goal of life, which is moksha, which is spiritual well-being. And this is what I'm wrestling with in my present book. So we've come a long way, our country, from the 1960s of Lal Bahadur Shastri. We are now, not only have we left the old license Raj behind, we are in the age of startups. And this is a very exciting development when everything is possible. A young person today going to Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management feels that sense of excitement. And this is why I'd like to tell you another story. This is the story from a 1,000-year-old textbook called the Katha Sarit Sagara. It means the ocean of stories. And this story shows you that everything is possible. And even if you have no capital, as this young hero of the story had, all his capital was, it was a dead mouse. So the hero of our story is a poor boy. His father died before he was born, and his mother cleans houses for a living. When he grows up, she says to him, "Son, you are destined for greatness." She advises him to go to the neighborhood, is the house of the richest man in town. And she says, "Go and stand and talk to him." And so the following day, while the boy waits outside the man's grand mansion, he sees a dead mouse in the courtyard. When the merchant appears, he asks the merchant, "Can I have this dead mouse?" The merchant laughs. He says, "You'll be doing me a favor by removing this dead mouse from my courtyard. Don't you want anything else?" People ask for all kinds of things. He said, "No, thank you." And so he picks up the mouse, goes away. He knows a widow in their neighborhood who has a cat. So he sells the mouse as cat food to the widow. And with the few paisa that he earns, he goes to the market, he buys some chana, and he packs that, he makes little pudiyas of the chana chorgaram, and he takes a pitcher of water, a gada of water, goes to the town square. And in the town square, he waits because he knows in the afternoon, loggers come with carrying logs of wood on their head from the forest. And he gives each logger, they put down their weight, they're resting in the town square. He gives each logger a pudiya of chana and he gives him a glass of water. And each one is so happy. Nobody has done this for them. They don't have any money to give him, but they each give him one log. So this he does, goes the next day. He goes again to the market. He sells one log of wood and he buys more chana, better snacks, and he goes again to the square, and with water he does the same thing, and he does it for the next 3 months. Then the rains come, monsoons, logging stops, the price of timber shoots up in the market, and he starts selling his timber. He has got a house full of logs. Now he gets them, he monetizes his fortune, and suddenly he can buy, with the money he has made, he can buy a shop, a timber shop in the market. And so with the timber shop, he's successful, particularly because those timber coolies, they know him and they come to him, they give him preference, and so he does well. But after a few years, he realizes there's more money to be made in building ships from timber, from wood, than selling wood in the market. So he gets a carpenter, shipbuilder, and he starts making ships. And that business does well. But a couple of years later, he realizes that actually sailing the ships and sending cargo or passengers on ships was even more money making. Anyway, he does that. By the age of 25, he has become the richest man in town. And so what does he do? He goes to the jeweler and asks him to make him a gold mouse. And with that gold mouse, he goes to the merchant, the richest man in town. And he presents him the gold mouse. And he says, I want to thank you. This was my venture capital, a dead mouse. And he tells him his whole story. And the merchant is so happy that he gives his daughter in marriage to this young man. So there's a happy story about startups, and I hope it will inspire you. But what I also want to tell you, this boy, he did not leave there. He became also a philanthropist. He gave money away in his lifetime. Now, I also want now to tell you that I want to sort of end with a true story. I'm a storyteller, so you can't stop me from doing that. But my last story is about a man, a true story about a man who taught me the most important lesson I ever learned in business. And his life will show you that how you can make a life while on your job, not in the weekends, but on your job. And so I shall narrate this story. And it underlines the key point that attitude is more important than skills or knowledge or even intelligence sometimes in building a high performance organization, whether in the private sector or in the public sector. The key mistake we make is that we interview people, and you'll also be interviewed soon, and the interviewers will be asking you questions about what you know. Well, of course, if you've graduated from a fine institution and got good marks, like in the Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management, you'll have knowledge. They should be checking out your attitude. And this is the mistake that all companies make in recruiting people. Anyway, this man I'm going to tell you about began as an assistant security guard. He was metric pass in our company, and I learned more from him than I did from anyone else, including from Harvard Business School. I shall call him Kaude. He was a Maharashtrian from Akola. This was not his real name. I'm not sure he wants me to tell you his real name. He came one evening to our office around 5:30 to man the night shift. That's where he started, with the night shift. And he had completed 10th grade, not a graduate, very little knowledge of English. In fact, he was such a Dehati, Maharashtrian Dehati, that he pronounced the name of our company Procter and Gamble. Anyway, so, but you know, he had a childlike curiosity, and he wanted to know how everything worked in the office. And in the first few days, he picked up. There were two machines, one to make tea, one to make coffee. He learned how to make tea and coffee. And then between his rounds, he was serving tea and coffee to everybody. And then, even though he didn't know English, he learned how to run the telex machine. In those days, we used telex machines. And so there he was sending telexes in a few days in his tutti-frutti English, but he was managing it. And soon he also learned how to operate the switchboard. You know, in those days with wires, you had to put into the switchboard, etc. And he learned, and he was answering the phone after hours in the company. He also learned to run the projector because we made a lot of advertising, and so our managers could review the advertising in the evenings. Anyway, he had trained himself to do everything. And if you needed anything after 6 p.m. in the office, you said, ask Kaude. And what won, I think, my heart was that he did a simple act one day of honesty. One evening, a senior manager had dropped his wallet just outside the toilet. Kaude picked it up, and he looked inside. He found the name of the manager. There was a lot of money, cash in that wallet that day. So he immediately told me that, look, he's going to give somebody else the responsibility for the security. He took a taxi, went to the office, the home of the manager. He gave the money, and nobody was ever so happy to see Kaude with his wallet. It was the down payment for their house, and the man was coming. They were going to buy a dream house, and the man who was selling it was coming to pick up the down payment that evening. That's why there was a lot of cash. Anyway, Kaude told us not to tell anybody about this in the company. He was a very shy man. After about 7-8 months in working, our telephone operator, let me just check how am I doing for time. I should speed up a little bit maybe, but I think I'm on time. After 9 months or so, our telephone operator went on maternity leave. She was having a baby. And I learned from the grapevine that Kaude had requested to fill in her job temporarily until she came back. He said he was tired of working at nights. The personnel manager refused flatly, saying that ours was a multinational company that received phone calls from around the world. How could he, with his poor English, answer calls from outside when he couldn't even pronounce the name of the company? Anyway, Kaude went away with a long face, but I heard about the story through the grapevine, and I went to the personnel head, and I knew about the reputation that Kaude had established in the evenings. And so I told him, I said, let's give him a chance. If he doesn't work out after a couple of days, we'll get somebody else. Meantime, have a backup ready in case we need it. Anyway, the personnel manager agreed reluctantly. And so Kaude had a new job. And a few days later, our company lawyer phoned me. And in passing, as he was discussing some matter, he said, by the way, do you have a new EPBX system? I said, no. Our only EPBX system is Kaude. So I said, but why do you ask? He said, because your phone is always answered now on the second ring. Before it used to ring 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Nobody would pick it up. So I asked Kaude when I was going out and passing by his phone booth, I said, why do you answer the phone so quickly? And he gave an answer that took my breath away. He said, there may be a customer at the other end, and I don't want you to lose an order. Now, I don't think our sales director could have given such a good answer. Anyway, before long, the fact is that Kaude, everybody recognized that this man was really quite special. He had charged up the company. At night, first he charged it up, and in the daytime, he became such a role model that people really started behaving in this way. And so I must tell you that the company promoted him, then they promoted him again, and then finally they promoted him to be a director of this company. Imagine a non-graduate, metric pass, who made such a success. And it all goes back to attitude. What is that attitude that we should hire people for? Now, Kaude had a childlike activity, childlike quality to turn every activity that he did at work into play, no matter how menial or routine. And so he seemed to love the work that he did, and he tended to get completely absorbed in it. That's one way you know. When time gets distorted, you say, oh my God, it's 6 o'clock. I thought it was only 4 o'clock. 2 hours went by and you had forgotten yourself. Kaude knew the art of forgetting himself. He got so absorbed in his work that he didn't think, oh, but when am I going to get promoted in this company? He had no time. So he was acting always for the sake of the work and he was acting for the sake of the job and not for his personal report. He acted so that he didn't care who got the credit. Now that is being a karma yogi according to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. When you don't care who gets, you do your job and don't care who gets the credit. So I feel in closing, what is it that Kaude had, which made him such a success? And one quality he had was determination. Determination to succeed, determination to do the job well. Second quality he had was a bias for action. He had a can-do attitude. If you wanted something in the office, you said, ask Kaude. Bas, ho jayega. He also taught me that execution is more important than strategy. Many companies have great strategies, but only the best ones who can implement are the ones who win in the end. He also had an instinctive desire for service. He was always ready. And I can only tell you, because there are only 3 ways to create competitive advantage. One is to give the consumer lower price, which by meaning giving lower price means you have to cut your price. And if you are studying finance, you know that goes to your bottom line. You can do it through superior products. That you have to spend a lot of money in R&D. And third is through superior service. Now that is free. If you hire people like Kaude in your company, or if you behave like Kaude, it's free. And you can make, today, for example, we buy our products because a lot of the product we buy, whether it's this iPad from which I'm talking, we are only concerned, the prices are pretty much the same, the good products, the quality is not that different, the best products are similar. It is service. We always worry, oh God, if something were to go wrong, will I get good after service? Anyway, service is extremely, extremely important. And all I can say is that I learned this lesson when I went to buy, my wife was having a birthday, I went to buy a sari from Lajpat Nagar market. And the sari fellow, the dukandar, he started showing me saris, and by the time he had shown me 40 saris, and I was standing there, hold on. He showed me so many good ones. I bought 3 instead of 1. Now there, you see his service orientation. And the opposite happened when I had to go to London for a board meeting a few weeks later, when I dropped something on my shirt collar and I had to run to the store. I dropped it at lunchtime, and we had an important meeting with a customer in the afternoon. So I ran to the store on Bond Street and I asked for a new shirt. And the girl who was serving me, she got 3 of my collar size, and I said, can I see more? Because I remembered the sariwala. And she said, but first, will you buy one of these? I said, are you crazy, madam? What kind of service is this? Every time you speak, open your mouth, you lose a customer. Anyway, my point is service, very important. And this is what Cowdy had. The other thing was he took ownership. He took ownership of his job. I mean, he was concerned that a competitor should not, the customer should immediately be able to give an order and should not go to our competitor. Anyway, I could go on. His other quality was humility. Humility doesn't mean he wasn't ambitious. He was ambitious. But as I said, he was also a karma yogi. Anyway, I have spoken enough, and I have talked to you, given you 3 stories. 3 stories about making a life. One story was of my own story, which was how I wore 2 hats, a weekend job and a weekday job. And then I spent the first 25 years in business and another 25 years being a writer, living that kind of life. My second story was the excitement of being an entrepreneur in this startup age with a young man who only his venture capital was a dead mouse. And third was this person who had a childlike curiosity, Cowdy, and went on to become a director. So thank you very much. I wish you all the best, and I wish that you all have good careers and that you end up not only making a living, but also making a life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your extremely interesting and very, very practical address. We are very, very thankful to you for sparing your time and delivering this Foundation Day lecture. May I now request our Chairman, Board of Governors, Shri Anil Shastri ji, to kindly deliver the presidential address.
Mr. Gurcharan Das, Dr. Praveen Gupta, Director of LBSIM, Dr. G.L. Sharma, the Chief Administrative Officer, Colonel Ajay Sood, Mrs. Manju Shastri, all faculty present here in the auditorium, and all students of LBSIM who are also present in the auditorium, and all those, of course, Gitanjali, who's been comparing the program beautifully, and all those who are with us virtually on this program. First of all, let me compliment Mr. Gurcharan Das. I'm too small a man to be complimenting Mr. Gurcharan Das, but it's a great lecture, and we will remember this for all times to come. It's a great learning process that particularly the students are going through will get to know from this lecture. And you gave 3 stories, and very apt. Presently, in this environment that we are going through, whether it is the pandemic situation, whether it is the political situation, whether it is the economic situation, whether it is the social situation, all your 3 stories could be applied in these difficult situations. I remember that it was about 2 months ago that I requested Dr. G.L. Sharma if we could send a mail to Mr. Gurcharan Das inviting him for the Foundation Day function. Mr. Gurcharan Das has been to our, in fact, if you recall, Mr. Das, this is your second visit to LBSIM. The first time it was a physical visit to our R.K. Puram campus. And then, of course, at that time, you enthralled the audience. And today you are with us virtually. I remember that you responded promptly to Dr. Sharma's mail, and then I took the liberty of speaking to you over the telephone. And I requested you that it would indeed be nice of you if you could make it to the auditorium to our institute physically, because you have been to our earlier campus, and I was very keen that you should be shown around this campus as well. And I was also keen that I could take you around the Lal Bahadur Shastri Memorial, where you could go through the life and times of Shastri Ji. This is the memorial where Shastri Ji lived for many years until he passed away. And the museum was converted by the government of, the bungalow was converted by the government of India as a museum. And of course, you told me you were willing to come physically, but then you said that, Anil, could we check up on the 15th or the 16th of February, and I'll be able to confirm then whether I'm coming for the lecture, but that it's virtually or whether physically, I'll let you know. And I spoke to you on the 15th, and I was at a marriage function, I remember, in the afternoon. But I took time off, and I thought that, I must, it was always a pleasure speaking to you on the phone. And I still look forward to meeting you again someday in the future and speaking to you about a lot of things. And when I spoke to you, you told me that if I would not mind the program you would like to do virtually. And I immediately responded that, yes, I do appreciate your concerns. And he said, well, I will surely come to Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management once I have taken the vaccine. And so I do hope that your turn comes for the vaccine, and as soon as you are vaccinated, we would look forward to your visit to Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management. This institute, of course, as all of us know, was founded in 1995. It was established in 1995. And it was in that year that the institute in the R.K. Puram campus was inaugurated by the then Minister for Human Resource Development, Mr. Madhavrao Sindhya. A statue of Shastri Ji also was unveiled there. And then in 2010, we came in here, and let me tell you, this building we built, the infrastructure we built, we did not take any loan from anywhere, neither from the bank or not from any other source, nor we got any grant, and it was done on our own and from our savings, and the infrastructure was created. And in 2010, the then President of India, Srimati Pratibha Devi Singh Patil, inaugurated it. The statue that we see outside was also inaugurated and unveiled by her. And so in the last 26 years, we have come a long way. In 1995, when we started with 60 students, just with 60 students. And today, we are 800 plus students. And as mentioned by Dr. Praveen Gupta, we are adding 2 more courses this year. Postgraduate program, PGDM in Artificial Intelligence, Machine Learning and Deep Learning, and PGDM in e-business. So there's 2 more courses. So we would have another 120 students from this year. I would like to compliment all those who have been associated with this program today. It's a great success, grand success. And I'm sure that all those who have joined in virtually on this program would have liked it and must have definitely appreciated the topic chosen by Mr. Gurcharan Das. It's a very unusual topic, but very, very interesting, very practical. And I do look forward to such events in the future as well. There are a series of conferences to be held in the next few weeks. And then, of course, we have our convocation, annual convocation, which is likely to be held in the last week of April. Normally, we do it in the last week of March, but this year it will happen in April because of Corona. And I am very pleased to inform you that Dr. Kasturi Rangan has agreed to be the chief guest on this occasion and to deliver the convocation address. I would conclude by just giving one example of Shastri and would try to relate to what Mr. Gurcharan Das said with regard to attitude, with regard to service, and with regard to passion. And I think, of course, Mr. Gurcharan Das ji has been the chairman and the managing director of Procter & Gamble, not Gamble, Procter & Gamble. And but Shastri ji did not have any such opportunity of being managing director or chairman of a commercial organization, whether it was Voltas or Procter Gamble or Hindustan Lever. But he practiced in his life and in his career all these traits Mr. Gurcharan Das mentioned about, whether it was attitude, whether it was service, whether it was devotion, it was dedication, it was commitment, all was there. And one thing that I would like to mention is the value for money which Lal Bahadur Shastri had always on mind. And it is not that he would not like to spend, but he would not waste. There is a difference between spending and wasting money. There was a difference between spending and wasting. This is what he always believed. I remember a small incident that, I think I was in class 8 or 9, and whatever pocket money I would get, I would collect the pocket money, keep it safely, and I collected almost about 75 rupees. This is way back in the 60s. And 75 rupees, of course, is a big amount at that point in time. But my younger two brothers used to tease me. They used to call me a miser. They used to say that you are a big kanjoos and makki choos. And this is something, which was hurting me. I felt hurt. So what I did was one day that I went into the toilet and flushed away 75 rupees into the bathroom, the flush. And so it was all destroyed. Then, my mother got to know she was angry, but she didn't tell me. She said that, I'll complain to you, Shastri ji. And then in the evening, Shastri ji called me. And I was really very nervous that, I would be scolded and I don't know what not. But then, Shastri ji called me, said, why did you do this? So I said that I just wanted to prove that I wasn't a miser. So he said that, but you did a foolish thing. You could have given this 75 rupees to a poor man, and this tag of being a miser would have also gone away, and you would have been known as a kind-hearted person like Karn of the Mahabharata fame. So this is something that I remember, and I keep telling my children also, and all those younger generation, when I get a chance of interacting with the younger generation, wherever I go, I always tell them that make a difference between spending and between a waste. Spending money, want to buy a car? Yes, why not? You must, if you have the money, buy a car, buy 2 cars, buy 2 more bikes, buy an expensive one, there's nothing wrong. But don't waste money. You must remember that I was reading somewhere, of course this is not my figures, but I was reading somewhere that if every Indian, I'm not saying every family, every Indian decides to switch off the light or the fan or the AC of his room when he's leaving the room, 62% of power consumption in India would be taken care of. 62%. I was reading this very recently, about, I think, a month ago. 62% of power consumption will be taken care of if we all decide that we switch off our lights, switch off the AC, switch off the fan, or whatever electrical appliance when we leave the room. But unfortunately, we don't do that. My family, a lot of my children don't do it. I also at times don't do it. My wife keeps complaining. But then I also complain when she doesn't switch off the fan and the light. So it is something, and we must learn this. And with this, once again, I would like to, Dr. Praveen Gupta, compliment you and your entire team. And also Dr. Z.L. Sharma, it is because he took the initiative of sending a mail to Dr. Gurcharan Das. And thank you so much, Mr. Gurcharan. You will be, the vote of thanks will be delivered. But let me, as Chairman BOG, thank you immensely for having agreed to deliver the foundation lecture on this very, very special day for Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your very kind words. Now, may I call upon Dr. Nidhi Malhotra, Convener Alumni Cell, to please announce the Corporate Excellence Awards to the LBSIM alumni for the year 2021.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone. LBSIM Alumni Foundation takes pride in having a rich network of more than 4,000 alumni that have helped us immensely in enriching the quality of our academic programs, industry interface, and institution building activities. Our alumni have achieved great heights in their professional pursuits, and to celebrate their success stories, efforts made towards society, recognition of their own talent, spirit of entrepreneurship, and other great achievements, the Institute initiated the Corporate Excellence Award in 2013. For this year, we invited nominations from the first batch, that is 95-97 till 2006-08. We are indeed grateful to our alumni for the overwhelming response. From the nominations received, the decision committee, comprising of our esteemed faculty, decided 5 members who would be awarded with Corporate Excellence Award 2021. I now start with the announcement of the awardees. Our first awardee is Ms. Arduman Singh. Ms. Singh is an alumnus of 95-97 batch. She has more than 2 decades of rich experience in human resource domain and has also completed diploma in HR from New York University. Presently, she is the Director of Human Resource in PRAB Inc., USA. Ms. Arduman is also a board member for several organizations such as Franklin Township Board of Education, Lions Club, Somerset, etc. Ms. Arduman is currently located in the USA and expressed her inability to accept the award in person. However, we are delighted to have presence of her parents for the award ceremony. May I request Ms. Arduman Singh's parents to kindly come on the dais and accept the award on her behalf. Thank you, sir. Ms. Singh has also sent a small video message to express her gratitude for her alma mater. Can we have the video, please?
Hello, everyone. I want to begin with a resounding thank you to the team at Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management for selecting me as one of the 5 recipients of the 2021 Corporate Citizenship Award. I am honored today by accepting this award and feel validated for the work I have done in the last 20 plus years in HR community, which all began at LBSIM in 1995. I want to thank my family and the various warrior women who have uplifted me along the journey of being a working woman and giving back to my community along the way. I leave you with a quote. How can we extend kindness, gentleness, and patience to those around us without giving ourselves the same courtesy? So today, go out and achieve success, and remember to give back and make a difference in someone's life, one life at a time. Thank you.
Moving on towards the next awardee. Our next awardee is Mr. Manpreet Singh. Mr. Manpreet is an alumnus of 1996-98 batch. Currently, he is Group Head for New Business and Diversification Advisory at Somani Impreza Group and is deeply involved in corporate strategy and diversification of the group. Mr. Singh is a seasoned professional with more than 20 years of diverse experience with companies such as Nestle, Kodak, VF Arvind Brands, and Technova. He has worked on key assignments with prominent companies such as Harley-Davidson, Kiko, Bogies, Haribo, etc., and traveled extensively across US, Europe, and Pacific for consulting assignments. May I request Mr. Manpreet Singh to kindly come on the dais and accept the award. I request you to say a few words, sir.
Thanks, Nidhi. And I think earlier it was Gitanjali who was convening. And my respect in regards to our guest of honor, which is Mr. Gurcharan Das. And again, to the esteemed guest based on the dais, Shri Anil Shastri ji, Dr. G.L. Sharma, Colonel Sood, and my special mention to Naresh ji for persevering with me to attend this physically. And I think I had to comply. I couldn't help myself but being here. Now, Gurcharan Das, he mentioned that we all wear multiple hats during our life. And for my fellow colleagues who are there, students, I still wear 2 hats. One is a professional and I keep being a student in life. So I think that has led me to the success that we had of the values imbibed during our stint at Lal Bahadur Shastri. I think 3 of them which I leave with all of you to look at, and they would stay with you in your life. That's what I've seen, both personal and professional. One is self-drive. And I think we, being a very young institute, when I joined that, we were exemplifying that all of the students were self-driven, and that stayed with us during our professional lives. Second is perseverance. No better example than Dr. Sharma himself, and we persevered with our efforts to being an institute which is of producing professionals which are now more than 4,000, as I heard, and they are doing well in their life. And the final thing is integrity. I think that comes from Shri Lal Bahadur Shastri ji himself and the way he lived his life. This integrity, it stays with you not only in your professional life, but as you deal with your kids, your parents, and then your family. And it's this fire which keeps you burning, and that is very infectious, that your people who are around you, they also get this thing imbibed very quickly. So self-drive, integrity, and perseverance, those are the 3 values which stayed with us, and many more. But I think I have time to do all this. Again, I thank, and again, I feel humbled to receive this award. especially on the silver jubilee year of the college. And I wish all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such kind words. Moving on, our next awardee is Ms. Ekta Kumar. Ms. Ekta is 1996-98 batch alumni. She's a highly experienced social impact and change management leader who has been recognized for bringing business acumen and impact focus to CSR programs and sustainability challenges. She has a track record of successfully managing and developing sustainable businesses in the past 2 decades in capacity of global, regional, and country head roles. Ms. Ekta has worked in various sectors such as banking, telecom, consulting, and energy. Presently, she is the country lead in corporate social responsibility for Shell India Markets Private Limited. I request Ms. Ekta Kumar to kindly come on the dais and accept the award.
Good evening, everybody. It's really an honor and a privilege to be here today, and really grateful for this award. Thank you, Gurcharan Das, sir, for your wonderful address, really inspiring even after 2 decades of being in the corporate world. Thank you, Shastri, sir, for humility, for your diligence that you taught us as values that have stayed with us for our lives. Thank you, Sharma, sir. It is iconic to see you here today. I thought I would have tears in my eyes, and I continue to do. And I think just so happy to be back. I just like to say 2-3 things that even I learned from this institute and which have stayed with me. And I just want to kind of leave you with those messages as well. So one of the first ones was, of course, which we all know, diligence. I've been very lucky in life, but I think I've been more lucky when I've been working hard. So always remember that hard work gets you luck. The second one that has always stayed with me is teamwork that I first learned at LBSIM. There was no project, no mission that was really needed from me as an individual. Mostly it was done as a team. And it's taken me a long way in life. Again, I'd like to leave you with a quote. The quote is that if you want to walk fast, walk alone. But if you want to walk far, walk with others. So I'm going to leave you with these 2 messages and wish you lots of luck and the ability to walk really far in life, and hope to be back in this college again soon. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Even the institute is looking forward to have you and connect with you so that you can interact with our students. Moving forward, our next awardee is Mr. Amit Kurseja. Mr. Amit is alumnus of 2003-2005 batch. He currently heads payment products and business at Amazon India. He is responsible for building Amazon Pay's merchant network and managing payment experiences of customers. Prior to Amazon, Mr. Amit has served in leadership positions at multiple Indian startups and MNCs, shaping their product and tech strategy. With more than 15 years of product and general management experience, he is an expert voice on payments and fintech. He has been recognized as one of the most influential payment professionals in 2019 by World Payment Congress, and also served on the advisory board of MPE Europe as an advisor to multiple early-stage startups in fintech space. May I request Mr. Amit Kurseja to kindly come on the dais and accept the Corporate Excellence Award.
Good evening, everyone. It's as I think my previous seniors from other batches also said, it's a very humbling moment in one's career to be recognized by their alma mater for the achievements that we have done in the corporate life. So I can't be happier. And I was avoiding travel and everything for past 1 year, so I haven't visited Delhi, but this gave me a very good reason to be back in Delhi. So good to see all of you. I see so much greatness and potential in this room, in all the students that are sitting out there. And if there's one message that I can leave you with is always, shoot for something bigger. Don't limit yourself, don't constrain yourself by thinking that you can't do it. You've got all the knowledge, the best of education from the institute that anybody can get anywhere. So you have it all with you, and just have the right attitude and invest in that attitude. Continuously have the right thoughts, right company, right coaching, right mentoring, and you have a great potential and great future forward. So thank you all of you.
Thank you so much, sir. Our last award is in absentia to Mr. Chandrasekhar Gopal Iyer. Mr. Iyer joined LBSIM in the year 2004. He's an experienced supply chain leader with 14 years of experience in process transformation, change management, and service improvement. He started his career with TCS and further pursued MSc in Logistics and Supply Chain Management from Cranfield University in United Kingdom in 2011. He is currently the Supply Chain and Operation Transformation Lead at 4C Associates and also holds the designation of Director at Waterfront Ventures in London. Mr. Gopal Iyer is currently located in London and could not join us today to accept the award in person. However, he has expressed his heartfelt thanks in a video message. Can we have the message, please?
Thank you. I'm pleased, honored, and humbled to accept this award and to join past recipients who have set so many examples on balancing corporate responsibilities and business success. I'm truly delighted to join this list of long admired and respected individuals from our own LBSIM family. Very special thanks to the jury, the board of directors, faculty, and the alumni cell for selecting me for this wonderful honor this year. An enormous salute to all of this year's nominees, each of whom have made incredible contributions to the global business community. And of course, thank you to the esteemed faculty and my classmates from the 2004-2006 batch, my colleagues, clients, and bosses over the last 14 years, and the extended family and friends for being my value system, helping me develop as a responsible professional, and for always supporting me in my journey to date. Thank you, everyone.
Moving ahead, the LBSIM Alumni Foundation every year launches its annual magazine titled Reflections. Reflections has been a medium for the alumni to connect with their alma mater. This year, the theme of the magazine is Moments. The theme reflects on the Institute's 25-year journey of providing value-based management education and also provide glimpses of key academic and management events in the academic year 2019 and 20. On this note, I would like to invite all our awardees on the dais, Mr. Manpreet Singh, Ms. Ekta Kumar, Mr. Amit Kurseja, to join the dignitaries on the stage for the release of Reflections 20. I also request Ms. Dipali Singh Rathore, Student Coordinator for LBSIM Alumni Foundation, to kindly come on the dais for the release. Thank you, everyone. I thank all the dignitaries on the dais for felicitating the awardees of Corporate Excellence Award. I now hand over the proceedings to Dr. Gitanjali Sahi.
Thank you, Dr. Nidhi. I think we are what we are because of our students and our alumni. It was really wonderful to hear all of you. Really, really wonderful to hear all of you. Now, as a mark of our gratitude, I would now request our director, Professor Praveen Gupta, to kindly present our memento to the chief guest, Shri Gurcharan ji. Thank you, sir. May I now call upon Dr. G. Advisor CI, to kindly propose a vote of thanks. Sir, please.
Good evening, our chief guest, Gurcharan ji. We met in 2004 in R.K. Puram, and you were kind enough to drive car, Mercedes car yourself, and came to the institute and spent about 1 hour talking to faculty and students. And this is the second time that you have virtually come to the institute with a different mission. We thank you very much for giving very extraordinary lecture, 26th Foundation Day. I read your 3 articles in Times of India. First article I got New Education Policy. Second article I read in New Farm Laws. And third article I read 14th February, Valentine Day. And I'm glad that in all the 3, leave aside the 14th day. In the previous 2 articles, you talk about the economic development, whether it's education or whether it's farm laws. I quote from your 14th February lecture, where you write, India is in transition from traditional to modernity, and is best and just and important to speak and act freely about our emotional life as our economic and political lives. So I'm concerned as the students of economics. I'm more concerned about the economic and political life. And pandemic has given a new life all over the world, particularly to our country, when you find pandemic has been magnifying glass for inequalities in our society. Inequalities in terms of education, in terms of food, in terms of shelter, in terms of medical facilities, and other things. And the growing inequality, both income and wealth, is growing very fast. I therefore request Gurcharan ji, because you are one whose voice matters a lot, present government or to the society as a whole, to take up issue of such concern where inequality, at least minimum bare necessities of life, is food, is a shelter, is medicine, is provided to the ordinary people of this country. And that view I am very proud of you, and I'm very definite about you, that you can do that. At least you can play an important role. And that would be really your most significant contribution to the society. I, again, on behalf of the Board of Chairman Anil Shastri, Mrs. Manju Shastri, luckily she is present, a director, faculty member, students, the board member, advisory member, and also the 5 top students who got the Excellence Award. So on behalf of all of us, we thank you very much, and we express our gratitude that in the near, maybe for common man, ordinary man, the injection would be available within 6 months, and we'll welcome you physically and see what you can do. So we, on behalf, again, I thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. I also congratulate my own students, 5 students, who have received the Excellence Award, because they have done good job. And my impression is that after 5 years, the institute virtually would be run by the alumni, because blood is thicker than water. In India, most of the business school means all business school. They provide employment facilities. And after 5 years, maybe 50 students from LBSIM will be heading good companies. So naturally, when they decide which institute they have to come, they say, we'll go to LBSIM. This is my institute. So I hope next 5 years. So I congratulate particularly Parmeet Singh, Ardman Singh, Mrs. Ekta, Amit Kukreja, and Iyer for their excellent job they have done. And we hope the next batch, when we select, more important person would be coming. So I thank all the faculty members, the students, alumni, guests, and administrative staff. On behalf of us, we thank you very much for this opportunity to welcome you and listen to Gurcharan Das ji on a new topic, 3 stories. I don't want to repeat, but 3 stories that he has narrated will definitely be a landmark for students to join the Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management. For that, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. May I now request everyone to please rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Kindly take your seats. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of the 26th Foundation Day celebrations. Thank you all and have a lovely evening. Thank you very much.